New season, same old drama, but for Caitlin Clark, the Bullies are back. However, this time, she's not alone. So far, some of the biggest names in the NBA are speaking out, and they're not holding back, I can tell you.
Just a few games into the new season, and it's already clear. Caitlin Clark isn't just the most watched player in the WNBA, she's the most targeted. Last season, the hate came in whispers. This season, it's showing up in the stat sheet. She's been shoved, hit, tripped, and fouled harder than anyone else in the league. In fact, 17% of all flagrant fouls this season have been committed against one person. Caitlin, that's not normal. That's a message. But here's what's different now. She's not backing down, and she's not alone anymore. NBA legends are watching, and they're speaking out. From Paul George to Gilbert Arenas, Kenyon Martin, and even Skip Bayless, the voices defending Caitlin Clark aren't coming from quiet corners. They're loud, public, and unapologetic, and they're calling out the hypocrisy of a league that built its walls around toughness, but now punishes one woman for playing through it. What's really behind the drama? Is it just basketball or something deeper? Jealousy, resentment, fear of change. This isn't just a story about hard fouls. It's a story about power, popularity, and the one rookie who refuses to stay quiet. So let's break it all down. The incidents, the backlash, and why some of the biggest names in the game are standing behind Caitlin Clark louder than ever before. In her rookie season, Caitlin Clark was already under the microscope, but in year 2, that microscope turned into a magnifying glass, and then a sniper scope. Opposing teams aren't just defending her, they're hunting her. Every time she steps on the court, it's like a challenge. Not to play basketball, but to break her. And the numbers prove it. Caitlin Clark has drawn more flagrant fouls than any other player in the WNBA this season, by far. In fact, nearly 1 in every 5 flagrant fouls committed in the entire league has been against her. That's not a coincidence. That's a statement. That's a target on her back, and everybody sees it. She's been shoved while in the air, tripped while pushing the break, and elbowed on drives with no real consequence. And somehow, even when the contact is brutal and obvious, the whistle doesn't always blow. It's like the refs are saying, "Welcome to the league, now deal with it." The message isn't subtle and it's not fair, but it's loud. Earn your respect the hard way. But here's the thing, she has been dealing with it, and not by crying foul or begging for sympathy, but by showing up every game, taking the hits, and still dropping buckets like none of it matters. She keeps her cool, she answers with her game, and that's what makes it worse for her haters. Because this isn't just physical abuse, it's psychological warfare. A message from veteran players saying, "You're not welcome here yet, not until we say so," except Caitlin Clark isn't waiting for anyone's permission. And just when it looked like she might be left to fight this battle alone, reinforcements arrived, and they didn't come quietly. The moment that lit the match came fast, and it came from a familiar face. During a heated game between the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky, Caitlin Clark fouled Angel Reese. It wasn't some wild, reckless hit, it was a routine take foul, the kind that happens dozens of times in every basketball game. But the second Angel hit the ground, everything changed. The refs called it a flagrant, the crowd went crazy, social media exploded, and suddenly, Clark wasn't just being targeted. She was being accused of being the aggressor, but this time, she didn't shrink, she didn't apologize. She stood firm and said exactly what needed to be said. It was just a good take foul. Every basketball player knows that, and for anyone who's watched her over the years, that statement hit differently, because the old Caitlin, she might have backed off, she might have said sorry just to keep the peace, but not anymore. This was a shift. The incident with Angel wasn't just another foul, it was a turning point, not just in the game, in the entire narrative. Because for once, Clark wasn't silent. She stood on business, calm, collected, clear, and the backlash came just as fast. Critics jumped on her. Cheryl Swoops, one of the WNBA's most respected voices, called her a bully, said she didn't handle the moment right, said she should have owned up and done more. But here's the twist, NBA players were watching too, and they didn't see a bully. They saw a target defending herself, and they were about to make that known. While WNBA critics tried to frame Caitlin as the villain, NBA voices started stepping in. And the first major one to speak up was Paul George. He didn't just offer vague support, he went all in, praising Caitlin not just for her skills, but for her presence, her mindset, and her fire. "I love her personality, man," he said. "Not only is her game talking, but she's out there talking." That one quote said everything, because it wasn't just about scoring anymore. Caitlin was finally speaking back, finally clapping back, finally acting like what she had always been, a star, and Paul George respected it. In a league where personality matters just as much as stats, Caitlin Clark was starting to show both. She was no longer playing defense in interviews, she was setting the tone. That endorsement hit different because Paul George isn't just some retired legend making noise on a podcast. He's still active, still respected, and when a top-tier NBA star publicly backs a second-year WNBA player, people pay attention. His comments sparked a shift. Fans started revisiting the clip, watching the foul again, re-listening to Clark's post-game response, and suddenly the energy began to change. The bully narrative wasn't sticking like it used to, because if Paul George saw leadership, if he saw confidence, then maybe that's what it actually was. And he wasn't the only one watching, because the next wave of support, it came from NBA legends who weren't going to let this slide. That endorsement hit different, because Paul George isn't just some retired legend making noise on a podcast. He's still active, still respected, and when a top-tier NBA star publicly backs a second-year WNBA player, people pay attention. His comments sparked a shift. Fans started revisiting the clip, watching the foul again, re-listening to Clark's post-game response, and suddenly the energy began to change. The bully narrative wasn't sticking like it used to, because if Paul George saw leadership, if he saw confidence, then maybe that's what it actually was. And he wasn't the only one watching, because the next wave of support, it came from NBA legends who weren't going to let this slide. They didn't tiptoe around it. Gilbert said if that foul was dirty, then every player in NBA history should have been ejected. These guys had played through real contact, elbows, undercuts, mid-air collisions, and they knew the difference between a foul and a flop. This wasn't personal, it was just basketball. And yet, Caitlin's version of just basketball somehow turned into national controversy. That's what hit hardest. NBA vets saw through the double standard. They knew the game, they knew intent, and they weren't about to let one of the WNBA's biggest rising stars get buried by biased takes. The floodgates were open now, and even more voices were about to step in. As the internet kept spinning the Caitlin's a bully narrative, more NBA voices started stepping in, and they weren't buying it. Former All-Star Jeff Teague was next to call it out, and he didn't sugarcoat a thing. "I'm gonna keep it gangster," he said. Angel flopped, and she pushed first simple, honest, unfiltered. That's the part no one wanted to talk about. Right before the foul everyone was angry about, Angel Reese initiated the contact. She gave a little shove. And when Caitlin returned the favor, Angel hit the floor like she'd been thrown from the top rope. The crowd gasped, the refs overreacted, and the headlines wrote themselves. But players like Jeff, they saw through it instantly. "She just reached down and hit the ball. She ain't try to fight. She ain't push her like that," Teague added. "It was a basketball play." And that's what's been missing from the conversation. Context: Caitlin wasn't out there throwing punches or trying to start something. She was playing the game and reacting like any high-level competitor would in the same moment. The flopping, the overreactions, the instant villainization. It wasn't about the play. It was about who committed it. If anyone else had done the same thing, no one would have blinked. But because it was Caitlin, the noise came louder, faster, and meaner. Even Teague admitted he liked Angel Reese, but said this time she did too much. "I know y'all like Angel," he said. "I do too." But that was a flop, and y'all know it. It wasn't hate, it was honesty. And that honesty echoed what millions of fans were already thinking, that maybe, just maybe, Caitlin Clark wasn't the problem. She was just the one everyone couldn't ignore. If the NBA stars were defending Caitlin Clark on the court, Skip Bayless stepped in to defend her from the bigger narrative, the one no one wanted to admit out loud. Skip didn't dance around it. He said flat out what many were thinking, but too afraid to say. Caitlin Clark is the reason the WNBA is relevant right now, period. He explained that behind the scenes, veteran players are quietly furious, not because of anything Caitlin did wrong, but because of what she represents. She's new, she's popular, she's white, and she's dominating the headlines like no one else ever has in the league. Skip said players are constantly complaining to coaches and front offices that Caitlin is getting too much attention, too much credit, too much shine for the ratings boost. And Skip hit them with a truth bomb that went viral overnight. Compared to her drawing power, you are chopped liver. Brutal? Yes, but that one sentence captured the resentment that had been building beneath the surface. For years, WNBA stars fought hard to grow the game. They built the foundation, but the world didn't really tune in until Caitlyn showed up. And now, the same players who paved the way are watching her become the face of it all. And in just over a year, that stings. And Skip knew it, but instead of sugarcoating it, he doubled down. He warned that hating on Caitlyn won't stop the momentum. It'll only make the divide worse. The league can't afford to push away its biggest asset just because others feel left behind. Skip didn't say Caitlyn was perfect. He didn't ignore her flaws, but he reminded everyone of the bigger picture. She's moving the needle. TV ratings, sold out arenas, social media reach, name a metric, and Caitlyn Clark is leading it. And whether the WNBA likes it or not, that kind of impact can't be manufactured. It's rare, it's real, and it's here. So instead of fighting her, Skip said what many fans were already thinking. Maybe it's time to fall in line, because the league needs her more than she needs it. While the media argued and players picked sides, something else started to happen. The fans spoke, and their message, loud, clear, and unbothered by politics. They're rocking with Caitlyn Clark now more than ever. The comment sections that used to be split down the middle were suddenly leaning heavily in her favor. One fan wrote, "This isn't the old Caitlyn. She's done being nice." Watch out, WNBA, another said. She took every hit, every headline, and still showed up. You can't teach that. It wasn't just admiration for her talent anymore. It was respect for how she handled the chaos. People saw the hate. They saw the fouls. They saw the double standard. And instead of backing away, they started rallying behind her. Not just because she's good, but because she's proving she can take the hits and keep hooping. The fans aren't dumb. They know when a player is being singled out. And the more the league tried to paint Caitlyn as a villain, the more people saw her for what she really is, a competitor who refuses to fold. Even casual viewers, people who had never watched a full WNBA game, are tuning in just to see what she'll do next. Because there's something magnetic about watching someone walk through fire and not flinch. She's not clapping back on Twitter. She's not crying in interviews. She's not pointing fingers. She's just hooping and getting better with every game. The growth is obvious, not just in her stats, but in her confidence. She's playing freer, talking more, and standing taller, and the fans are noticing. In fact, they're doing more than noticing. They're choosing sides. And the momentum is clearly shifting in Clark's favor, because when you get bullied, slandered, and hit, and still keep showing up like nothing happened, that's not just strength, that's star power. For most of her first year in the WNBA, Caitlyn Clark stayed silent. She took the hard fouls, the criticism, the headlines, and the hate without lashing out. She let her game speak while others tried to write the story for her. But this season, everything changed. The silence is gone. And so is the version of her that was willing to just take it. Now, Caitlyn is speaking up, not with drama, not with revenge, but with confidence, with poise, with presence. She's not asking for respect anymore. She's demanding it by showing up game after game and proving that she belongs. And the more they try to knock her down, the more she stands tall. She's not just a rising star, she's a symbol of something bigger. A player who's being targeted for shining too bright and who refuses to dim her light to make others feel comfortable. NBA legends see it, the fans see it, and deep down, even her critics know she's not going anywhere. This isn't about one foul or one feud. This is about a shift. The era of staying quiet, smiling through disrespect, and playing small to fit in. That era is over. If you respect what Caitlyn Clark is doing this season, hit that like button and let your voice be heard. Drop a comment and tell me where you stand. Is she the future of the WNBA? Or is this just the beginning of something even bigger? And if you're still watching, don't stop here. The next video on your screen dives even deeper into the truth behind this league's biggest controversies. I'll see you there.